Hey guys, welcome back to Through the Screen. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Emily.
I'm Brittany.
We hope you've been enjoying our episodes so far and liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. If you missed any of them, head on over to our channel and watch. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe while you're there. This week, we're back with all new topics, including one very serious but important social issue. So we hope you'll follow us once again as we join via Skype to bring you conversations through the screen.
We will be discussing the growing trend of mass shootings, including our opinions on some of the different aspects of the discussion. We will also, of course, be bringing you updates from Taiji Cove, as well as an update on Cecil's killer, Walter Palmer, a heartwarming story of more than 120 animals that were saved from a backyard butcher, a homemade cucumber eye rejuvenator, and finally another recap of Dancing with the Stars. So let's get started.
We have all heard the lists, we have all seen photos on the news, we have all seen the aftermath, and the people who are most impacted try and make sense of the senseless. We have all heard the terms mental illness and gun control go hand in hand. But have any of us really looked in the mirror and said, how can we change this? How do we end this madness? How do we stop the innocent from dying at the hands of another human being? How do we protect our schools? How do we end an epidemic that has become normal in our country? How do we stop mass shootings? While we can't answer all these questions, we can give our opinions. So that is what we plan to do, with much respect to every victim. First, I am going to discuss the statistics on mass shootings in the U.S. compared to 171 other countries on this planet. Every single one in the United States had more than one firearm and multiple magazines to go with each firearm, which means the potential for more victims. However, U.S. security is much better at handling these situations, which decreases the number of potential victims. All in all, the top 20 deadliest mass shootings have come after 1999, with some of the most disturbing and deadly happening within the past 10 years. So when do we shout enough? That's just what a bunch of our favorite celebrities are doing in a PSA, I will link down below. Others took to social media to voice their opinions. Names like Minnie Driver, Alyssa Milano, Rose McGowan, and Michael Ian Black, just to name a few. But no one was more outspoken than Montel Williams, who stated in a quote I really related with, "When someone seeks to buy multiple weapons and body armor, I damn well want someone asking what the hell they are up to before they sell it." How many of you said yes when I finished reading that? I know when I first saw it, that was my first thought. But how do we go about this while still upholding our rights to bear arms as stated in the Constitution? I mean, in reality, short of a zombie apocalypse, no one is going to need that many guns, that much ammo, and body armor. I don't even know where to begin with body armor. Why are these things so accessible? I should not be allowed to go online and buy a gun just as easily as I can a purse. Ooh. I am not saying ban guns because that goes against the very fundamentals this country was built on. I am saying it's time to make it harder for our youth and unstable to get their hands on such destructive weapons. One of my favorite television shows, One Tree Hill, did an entire episode on school shootings. In 2006, the same words ring true today. I have 3 quotes here I would like to read from the episode. This quote comes from Lucas Scott, and it comes from the very end of the episode. Does this darkness have a name? This cruelty, this hatred, how did it find us? Did it steal into our lives, or did we seek it out and embrace it? What happened to us that we now send our children into the world like we send young men to war, hoping for their safe return, but knowing that some would be lost along the way? When did we lose our way, consumed by the shadows, swallowed whole by the darkness? Does this darkness have a name? Is it your name? The next quote I'm going to read comes from the character called Mouth, and he's one of the hostages inside the school. He says, it's not supposed to be this way. The artists and the scientists and the poets, none of them fit in at 17. We're supposed to get past it. Adults, they see kids killing kids and they know it's a tragedy because they used to be those kids. The bullies and the beaten and the loners, we're supposed to get past it. You're supposed to live long enough to take it back. Just take it back. The final quote is a two-parter, and it's actually deleted from the actual episode, and the episode's name is With Tired Eyes, Tired Minds, Tired Souls We Slept, and it's from the 3rd season of One Tree Hill. It was deleted, but it's shown in the deleted scenes because it's such a powerful quote, and I'm about to read it right now, so you'll see why. Reporter, I'm here with the Student Council President, Brooke Davis. Brooke, can you put into words how you might be feeling about this tragedy? You should be ashamed of yourself. There are kids inside our school fearing for their lives right now, terrified that someone's going to put a gun in their face and pull the trigger, and you want to know how I'm feeling? Our pain is not a commodity for you. It's not a news bite to boost your ratings because tomorrow or the next day or the next week, when we go back to school, changed forever by a day that will never leave us, where are you going to be? At the next tragedy, thrusting your microphone in the face of the next fractured person, asking them how they feel. Lady, that is not journalism. You are not contributing anything to society. You are buzzards circling the carnage, but you prey on the living. That is how I'm feeling, but something tells me you're not going to air that. And that is so true because we are a country that many say is based on tragedy. And, I mean, to an extent, I used to believe that. Like, I used to believe it was true because that's what you see on the media. That's what you see on the news. But the truth of the matter is, I don't believe that anymore because our country is obsessed with seeing the good in people. The inspirational stories after the tragedy is what we are drawn to. It's not the suspects. It's not how they grew up or their stories. It's of the heroes and the victims and the people of the communities who come together to help one another in time of great tragedy and need. It's about humanity at its best after the worst has just happened. It's about telling a story without mentioning the shooter. It's about innocent who lost their lives at the hands of another. Which brings me to the story I wish to share. One of a bright and beautiful girl who had the world in front of her and was taken in one place she should have always felt safe: school. April 20th, 1999 started a new trend in our world: mass shootings entering our schools. Columbine, as all of us know it, is the beginning of a long and ever-growing trend in the way some deal with any number of issues. Bullying or mental illness left untreated almost always plays some role. It was no different on that day when 17-year-old Rachel Scott sat outside with her friend having lunch. Two classmates charged her and her friend and began shooting, killing Rachel instantly. They later went on to kill 12 other students and a teacher before killing themselves. Rachel stood for good. She stood for the hope of a better future, to spread kindness and light instead of hate and regret and judgment. She was a devout Christian, an aspiring actress with a bright spark. She had this dream that by putting one act of kindness into the world, it would start a chain reaction that could change the world. Her parents have set up a foundation in her name to commemorate this dream, which we will link below. In 1999, I was 13, and I remember her funeral being televised, staring at a white coffin covered in Sharpie marker, full of messages of love and loss. I thought this girl was loved, she was special, and even though she is gone, her life had meaning. She had touched so many on her short time here. She became the face of a school in grief. She became the angel she was here on Earth. In a few months, Lifetime is planning to release a movie based on Rachel's life, leading up to and after that day. Her story, while yes, is one of deep sorrow, it is also one of great hope. So this week I ask that every one of our viewers put one act of kindness and compassion out there in the world. Help someone you may not have otherwise, and do so not just for Rachel, but for yourself. After you do, you will feel this great sense of pride one can only get by doing something purely selfless. Please let us know what it is you did. We would love to hear it. Also, be sure to check out the trailer for the movie I Am Not Ashamed, based on Rachel's life, which we will link down below as well.
So, kind of how Charlotte was giving that quote from Brooke from One Tree Hill, I wanted to talk a little bit more about how the media kind of normalizes violence today. And one thing I always find so disgusting about these kinds of events, besides the obvious, is how the media portrays the story each time. Over and over, we see so much attention put on the shooter. Who was he? Where was he from? What made him snap? You know, all of these questions, and so much attention is given to the shooter, and it's just one of the arguments as to why others continue to take their place. Many of these shooters want that recognition. They commit these heinous acts because they've been rejected, ignored, pushed aside. And when they see other people become glorified in a sense, they think, oh, I can go out and shoot a bunch of people and get my 15 minutes, or sadly in this case, like 2 weeks of fame. And I think it's just disgusting and the complete wrong way for the media to go about things by trivializing the event and especially the shooter. And one major example of this was in the Oregon shooting at Umpqua Community College. One thing that I really respected was the fact that Sheriff Hanlon's made the decision to not give the name of the shooter. He said the coroner's report will, by law, take care of that. But in speaking to the media, he refused to do it because, quote, I don't want to glorify the shooter. I don't want to glorify his name. I don't want to glorify his cause. And I just applauded him because I was just like, yes, finally someone understands the implication of putting this information out there and spending countless hours doesn't even deserve to be mentioned. And the gunman from the Oregon shooting actually had a blog, and his posts are the perfect example of why we should stop glorifying the shooter in the media. He admitted that it was actually the gunman who killed the reporter and the cameraman on live television a little over a month ago that gave him the motivation to do what he did. In one of his blog posts, he wrote, I have noticed that so many people like him are all alone and yet unknown. Yet when they spill a little blood, the whole world knows who they are. A man who was known by no one is now known by everyone. His face splashed across every screen, his name across the lips of every person on the planet, all in the course of one day. Seems like the more people you kill, the more you're in the limelight. And that's absolutely chilling to hear straight from the Oregon shooter, putting perfectly into words the very issue that caused him to do what he did. Just too much presence in the media. And this is the exact reason that I feel like the media needs to stop glorifying the shooter and start focusing on honoring the lives of the victims. Say what happened, give the facts, but never give them their name or the time of day. One victim from the Oregon shooting, 30-year-old Chris Mintz, was an Army vet that actually charged the shooter in an attempt to save the lives of other victims. It was his son's 6th birthday, and as he lay wounded, he kept repeating, "It's my son's birthday." He became a hero in his hometown in North Carolina and all across the country. He actually did survive more than 5 gunshot wounds, but he is the perfect example of the kind of person the media should be focusing on, along with the lives of the 9 people that were killed. And I mean, I understand the curiosity of wanting to know who did this, but I think it's super important for us to stop focusing on the shooters because they don't deserve this attention. The victims do, even though, you know, this shouldn't have even happened in the first place. And obviously, this doesn't solve some of the bigger issues like mental health, but I do think it is a step in the right direction.
I agree. And I think that the things that people just aren't wanting to say are, you know, about, and which it's kind of like a really thin line to walk between the mentioning the shooter and like trying to like prevent things like this from happening in the future. But I don't think that the media needs to mention the shooter and know their whole backstory. You know, that's something for the police and for, you know, mental health professionals to get going. But I think that this country really needs to take a deep look at itself and see that the mental health is just not even, it's not where it should be. We don't even have places for people to go anymore. And we don't have places for people to, like for when you need mental health help, you may not know it. And regardless of what age you are, you know, you may need the help and your family can't make you go get it. And that is like in the case of the guy who shot Chris Kyle and his friend in Texas. The mom of the shooter kept trying to get him help. She knew he needed help. She kept trying to check him into different kind of mental health facilities, but he would just check himself right back out. You know, he was hearing voices, and he was afraid the government was after him, and which is why he supposedly killed Chris Kyle, was because he thought that the government sent him to kill him, you know. And, you know, the mother, and so in this tragedy, this mother who desperately tried to save her son from the situation just had no control over it, because no one could force him to stay where he needed to stay to get the help he needed to get, because the laws in this country are just not for the people who need mental health. Not to mention, it's a giant stigma. If you know, it's hard enough for someone to, you know, to say that they're diagnosed with depression, let alone any kind of other mental illness that leads to an event such as this. A lot of people are like, oh, we need more gun control. And I totally agree that if you know, in order to actually get a gun, it needs to be more difficult. Like Charlotte said, you should not be able to just get a gun like you do a purse or something online. I think it's ridiculous. And I think that stuff like that needs to be changed. I'm 100% for, you know, the right to bear arms. 110%. I would never not be for that. But I just think that people, you know, if you have prior history of domestic violence, of any kind of violent crime or whatever, you know, I think it needs to be where you can't have one. And obviously, which I think a lot of people don't take into consideration, I mean, guns have been legal here forever. So they're here, you know, a lot of people can get them, you know, regardless of whether or not they are getting them legally through a store or legally through any other kind of matter. But I just think that people just need to take a really hard look at, you know, that aspect of it, instead of just, hey, let's take all of the guns away. Because anyone who is even suggesting that, it's not even logical. You know, we live in a country where guns have been legal for the entire, you know, history of our country, and it's not going to happen. And even if it did happen, I actually read an article that we'll link down below that Harvard did about whether or not places with really strict gun control, like where people weren't allowed to have guns, if their, you know, other violence was down, you know, if violence as a whole was down, and it's just not true. You know, if people don't have guns, they're gonna use different means to kill people. So that's not even really, that's not even the biggest issue. But like Charlotte said, when she was talking about all of her stories, a lot of it starts after 1999, and you know, you think, what are things that change? You know, obviously the glorifying of the shooters in Columbine, I think, was a really big thing that changed, because then people thought, hey, it's cool. If you look at how movies have changed since then, if you look at how video games have changed since then, and I'm not saying that, you know, every adult shouldn't play video games, and it's not going to affect every adult, but guess what? It's going to affect some. And it's going to affect these young kids who are playing these games and thinking that this is normal, because they get desensitized to it. And so then they think this is how you're going to solve your problems in real life. And I also think that in schools, everyone's pushing for, you know, bullying and blah, 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 which is awesome. You know, I think that, you know, you should encourage kids not to bully, but we also need to encourage kids to not listen to the bullies. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be teaching our kids, you know, to victimize themselves. You know, if you're being bullied, don't let the bully win. You know, don't victimize yourself. Don't, you know, I'm not saying toughen up, get over it. I want the bully to get in trouble, but I'm just saying we need to be teaching our kids that's not how you solve problems. And my whole thing on the whole issue is just spread kindness, be kind with one another, which goes exactly to the foundation and the whole idea of Rachel and her family. You know, just spread kindness. And Ellen DeGeneres says it like every episode at the end of her show, you know, be kind to one another. She's always saying it. And I just think it's such simple words, but the meaning is just, if people would actually do it, like, it's just, I don't know, it would change the world, but people just probably even laugh at me saying that, but I just feel like it's so true. Be kind to one another. Don't spread hate.
It reminds me of something I read today, because like something I read today said, just smile at somebody, smile at a stranger. A simple smile can change somebody's day, and it takes 2 seconds and no effort of your part to just smile at somebody random as you're walking by them.
Yeah, smile, wave, be nice to your barista at Starbucks, be nice to your waiter when you go out, and if someone's being rude to you, be nice to them, and I know that's probably a difficult thing for a lot of people to do because pride, but, if you do it, it might even change their day. You don't know how bad of a day that they're having. You don't know what happened at home for them this morning, so if you're nice to them, maybe that's going to change their whole day around, and then they're going to be nice to everyone else. And I know it's in the whole scheme of things, it's like really small, but I just think that it would make a difference. I really do. And, I pray for all the victims, families, and the victims of all these tragedies. And you have to even think of even the families of the shooter who's either killed themselves or, are in prison for the rest of their lives, the poor mother who is dealing with that. And there's just, I don't know, it's just so sad. And I wish that it would never happen again. If I could have anything, I wish that stuff like that would happen. You could feel safe going to the mall, going to the movie theater, going to school. But people are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, I go to a university and I feel like it's horrible for me to actually even have to think these thoughts that might actually happen at my own school. Recently, they announced that they're going to be doing active shooter training. So they're going to be preparing teachers as well as students on what to do if something like that happens. And I think it's just so sad that even needs to be a thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
It's just a scary girl.
That's something that's like completely foreign to me and Brittany, because we never had to even think about that in school. It was never a question. Like, no one ever told us like any of that. And I mean, it goes down to even young little kids, or coming home to their parents and telling them, today we got in the closet and it was for like a drill, and I don't understand why. They don't understand why they have to do these things because they're so young that they haven't been witness to these harsh realities of the world yet, but yet they still have to be trained on what to do.
It's good that people are being proactive and trying to train them, but it's scary that it happens. And the scariest thing is these shooters are knowing, they're seeing on the media, because a lot of times on the news, they'll tell them, what they're doing to do it, to combat it, and how they're hiding in closets, like, how they're doing this. And so now shooters are going to be looking in there. So it's just scary. It's really scary, and it's really heartbreaking. And I wish that this country would really look into, expanding its mental health care. I really, really do, because it's sad that it's just not widely available. It's sad that even when your loved one needs help, and they won't help themselves, like you can't even help them because they're in charge of their own body. But then when something bad happens, you're like, told you so, but now it's too late because look, now 3 people's lives are just over.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it's really heartbreaking and sad, and
something that needs to be talked about more, so that these types of preventions start happening, so that these things start coming to light. Mental health, all this stuff that people are just hush about, that they don't want to face the reality of. It all needs to start coming to light so that things can change and we can set a better example for this future that we're trying to build for our planet. I mean, if we keep going around killing people, nothing is going to get solved, nothing's going to change, and everything's just going to get worse. So we just would like to encourage all of you to please check out Rachel's challenge down below. And like I said, put out one act of kindness and compassion out there in the world this week. And please let us know what it is that you did. We'd love to hear it. And just, again, be kind to people and just stop the hate. That's what this was really all about. Just think of it as if you were in that position, and what would you want somebody to do for you? And everybody would want somebody to be kind, so be kind.
This week in our Taiji updates, The 9th, 10th, 12th, 14th, and 15th were all Blue Cove days, where the 11th, a pod of 4 Russo dolphins was slaughtered in the cove, and on the 13th, 20 or more Russo dolphins were slaughtered and 1 drowned. So we want to make sure that we remind you guys that we always link the live streams below, and the Cove Guardians always do them, especially when a pod is getting really close into the cove. So make sure you check those out because they're really heart-wrenching, and I think it really just brings it to reality for us because obviously we cannot be there. We also wanted to update a story that we brought you a while back on Cecil the Lion. And in Zimbabwe, they have decided that they are not going to charge Walter Palmer with any kind of crime and that he is allowed to be a tourist there, which is just so sad. And there's just no justice for Cecil in this way, but hopefully karma kind of gets him in the end. And in a happy update, the Thompson Family Charitable Foundation that we were telling you was matching dollar for dollar donations to Cove Guardians. They raised over $40,000 for the Cove Guardians, so that's super exciting. And if you donated, thank you so much for helping out Sea Shepherd. And they are always accepting donations, so if you would like to donate, we can link that down below for you as well.
This week's heartwarming story is about a group of over 120 farm animals that were saved from a horrific state in New York's Hudson Valley. This past Saturday, the Hudson Valley SPCA entered an upstate New York farm and found a makeshift slaughterhouse with chainsaws and just countless emaciated animals, including goats, cows, sheep, other animals, living among extremely high levels of ammonia. And so Farm Sanctuary, Skylands Animal Sanctuary, Woodstock Animal Sanctuary, and Catskill Animal Sanctuary all came together to rescue these animals from this nightmare. And the ones that needed urgent medical treatment were taken immediately to Cornell University's Animal Hospital. And one rescued group was a mother pig and her piglets, which are currently resting safely at one of the sanctuaries. And some of the rescuers stayed up for 24 hours to help these animals. And this story just kind of goes to show that, no matter how much evil and violence exists in the world, there will always be people that are willing to help and kind of provide unconditional love to those who need it. And so we hope you guys enjoyed this story of rescue and triumph, and we will put a few links down below to the various sanctuaries and how you can help these rescued animals.
So this week for our project of the week, we chose a simple eye rejuvenator. Most have seen this done in the movies where the character's at a spa and they have cucumbers on their eyes and they're laying in, usually wrapped in something. So we decided to try it out and see how it was. What do you guys think?
I really liked it. I think that it's a really cool thing because we're going to link below the actual thing that we did, but it actually makes 5 different treatments with one little mixing. So you're going to have them in your freezer and you can pop them out anytime. It's just as long as you thaw them properly. It's just a really I don't know, it just really just makes you feel really awake. It made me feel really awake, and it makes my under my eyes feel really soft. And I'm gonna use the ones that I have left. I have 4 left, and I'm gonna I'll make it again.
Well, yeah, so just a little overview. Basically, you cut up a cucumber, however much of a cucumber you want. Brittany, did you do the whole cucumber?
I did 3/4 of it probably, but it was a really big cucumber.
Yeah, because I only did a quarter or maybe a half at the most, because I knew I just wanted to do it for the 2 iPads. So basically, you cut up the cucumber really thin and you blend it, and you can use a little bit of water to blend it, and then you just dip cotton pads, or actually I use folded up paper towels. Just dip it in there, put it in a Ziploc bag, and freeze it. So I froze mine for a little under 2 hours, and then I let them thaw for 15 minutes, and then I put the pads on my eyes, and don't do that. Like, I didn't let it thaw enough because I felt like I was going to die of hypothermia. Like, it was burning my skin. Like, it hurt so bad. But then, like, once I would just, like, hold them and, you know, like, let my body heat kind of thaw them out a little bit. But once they were thawed, I thought that they were really, like, relaxing and cooling. And it's funny that you said that they woke you up, because I actually did it right before I went to sleep, and they made me more calm, like, to go to sleep. So it's funny that you said that. But, I mean, I liked it. I would do it again. Of course, I would do it differently so I didn't burn myself. But I think it's a really cool kind of trick, rather than just putting slices of cucumber on your eyes. But Charlotte, did you?
I wasn't a fan. I don't know why. I don't like cold things, and I don't know. I didn't like it. I probably won't do it ever again, and I did not get the whole point to it at all. I mean, my face is a little soft, but
I just think it's like a pampering thing, and I guess, like, as, like, you know, a stay-at-home mom that is, like, constantly running from things to things, like, when I can just, like, sit there and relax and have, like, these cucumbers on my eyes, like, I don't know, I enjoy that kind of thing. Like, I wear face.
It's just, like, not relaxing to me. Yeah,
really? Like, because just, like
I don't know.
I put those, like, I have, like, these face mask things I put on all the time that are supposed to brighten your skin. And, I don't know, I just enjoy that kind of thing so much. So, I really liked it. But I think, it doesn't necessarily, like, do too much for you other than...
makes your skin soft.
Yeah, it makes your skin soft, and I don't know. I really like it. So, everyone else try it, and don't listen to Charlotte.
It's up to you.
Or do, and let us know what you think, and if you have anything you want us to veganize, food, beauty products, or any vegan thing you want us to try, let us know, and we'll take it into consideration. This week on Dancing with the Stars, it was Switch Up Week. This is a week where you can kind of tell who of the celebrities are the better dancers and who are more, you know, just getting used to their partners. I really, really enjoyed this week. What my favorite dances were, one was Tamar. The judges kind of gave her a little bit of crap, but I just love her stage presence. I think she does so well. I think she owns the stage. Like, you know, she has been a dancer forever. She knows what she's doing. You know, no one can bring her down. Alexa's was probably my favorite this week. I thought it was flawless. I loved everything about it. I loved the dance. I loved the outfits. I loved the stage. I just thought it was really, really good. I think she deserved her perfect score. Nick is also another one that I loved. Obviously, I always love Nick's. I loved how this week he really tried to take charge, and, you know, he was like, you know, I know what I'm talking about, and let's do it this way, and kind of tried to, you know, be more proactive in what he was doing. Hayes, although his dance wasn't so great, I loved the fairy tale like theme. I love that he dressed up as Prince Charming. I thought he played the part really well. And I love the whole like scenery of everything that was going on in that dance.
For me, I would say my favorite was Alec and Emma's Rumba, just because it was like you could just tell that they had this like kind of attraction towards each other through like even their package, and then it kind of like definitely came out on the dance floor. You felt it, and that's what I always enjoy about dance. So that was probably my favorite this week. I actually wasn't that big on Nick's. I don't know why. I just wasn't like that hard for me. Like Paso is such like, I don't know, it's such a hard dance because you just have to be so like strong, and it has to portray on the floor, and it's something like a lot of men lack, I guess. They can't really portray that like strongness on the floor. So that's something I was lacking in that Paso, because he was very slouched down and not like, I don't know, strong. I also wanted to say that Bindi and Val's Chacho, she is so upbeat on the floor, and it just radiates through every dance. Her power of positivity always comes out in every dance, so I always enjoy that. And I would say for who I think is probably going to go home, Maybe Paula, but who knows? It seems like Carlos and Lindsay's Quick Step too got a lot of faves from the judges, and again, I wasn't my favorite. I don't like when they put things on the stage in like boxes and they dance on top of them. I don't know why. I just never liked that in any type of dance. I feel like it kind of separates the whole movement of the dance. You don't feel the like movement as much because they're dancing on boxes, and I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that. So yeah, that's my opinion.
One of my favorites was Andy. I liked his dance a lot, and I felt like he really got into that character. Like, a lot of his facial expressions and emotions you could see on his face. And I was like, wow, this guy's a singer, and he's kind of getting into the acting role. So, I don't know, I was really impressed by his. Also, obviously, I loved Alexa's dance. It was very powerful. Bindi's as well, I really liked. It was very upbeat, and you can feel like her personality and, you know, everything like that. I really like Tamar's feistiness. Like, she just put so much into her dance, and I don't know, she's like a firecracker. I was off and on with Carlos. I felt like he lost it in places, but I feel like he did have a lot of that personality. But yeah, I would say probably my favorite was either Andy or Alexa.
This week I would assume Paula would go home, but if not, like, I don't know, like, I think everyone else just deserves to be there, so it's so hard at this point to say who's gonna go home because I like them all, but I don't know. What do you think, Emily?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume Paula, but if it wasn't Paula, like, I probably would be shocked by anybody, because at this point we're getting down to, like, the good dancers, and it's gonna get really difficult to figure out who's gonna go home, because you never know, because they're almost evenly matched. I mean, obviously some are a little bit higher than others, but at this point, we're getting to the point where they're all good dancers.
So make sure that you tune in next week, and we'll let you know who went home and if we're shocked by any outcomes and what's going on Dancing with the Stars.
And I believe this week is the most memorable dances week, so it should be really good too.
So this week's Song of the Week is Confident by Demi Lovato, whose album of the same name comes out today. Demi is a 23-year-old singer that has gone through so many ups and downs, admitting suffering issues of drug abuse and an ongoing eating disorder, but after rehab has come back stronger than ever. This particular song is all about feeling empowered and, of course, confident. The video, chock full of action scenes, was directed by Robert Rodriguez, director of Sin City, Machete, and, of course, Spy Kids, among many others. So this song and video are both super intense and powerful, and it's a great song to listen to when you need just a little bit of motivation. So what did you guys think?
I love Demi Lovato, and Charlotte's actually the one that suggested that we do this, and like when she was like Demi Lovato, I was like, yes! Like, I hadn't heard the song, but after listening to the song, I love it, love it, love it. I think the message is great, and I think it's something that not only women, but men can understand, but I feel like it's really empowering, and I just love how upbeat it is, and it's just a good song with a great message, and just another really great song from Demi, and I can't wait to download her new album, and I'm sure I'll love it just as much.
Yeah, when I heard the song, I just thought, like, immediately it's just an upbeat song. It makes people feel confident about themselves, which is the whole point of the song. Obviously, the name is Confident, so. And what better way to just spread good music than to make people feel better? So that's why I mainly wanted to put it in this week's episode. With all the, kind of depressing topics that we have this week, I wanted something that would be uplifting and happy for a song. So I suggested this song, and we just all happen to all be fans of Demi, and it just worked out.
Yeah, When Charlotte mentioned it, it was the first time that I had heard it, and I actually wasn't expecting it to be, like, the beginning to be as rock as it was, or, like, as hardcore as it was. I was expecting this super pop song, so I was like, whoa. But yeah, I love it. I think it's a really good, empowering song. I love Demi's transformation in general, like, as a person and as an artist. And yeah, I think it's a great song for this week, and looking forward to see what else she has in store.
And going along with this week, I just wanted to mention, I just think that, like, confidence is really, like, something that, you know, be kind to one another is something else that, you know, we're really advocating. But, like, being confident in yourself and not letting what other people say, like, harm, you know, your insides is just, I think, really important. So it's another reason why I'm a really big fan of this song.
I also plan to download the album, so I'm excited to see what other tracks are in store on the album as well.
So listen and download her new album if you want, and let us know what you think. But the video for Confident will be linked down below. Okay, guys, that's our show. We hope you enjoyed this installment of Through the Screen. If you did, be sure to like down below and also subscribe to the channel. We also appreciate any feedback you may have. We post new videos every week, and we'd love for you all to join us and tell your friends. Next week, we will be discussing the upcoming Florida bear hunt and how you guys can help stop it, so you don't want to miss it. Until then, thanks for watching, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.
Bye!